Greetings everyone, One with an Organ here, and today I'm really excited to be bringing to you a full review on the newer game called Rivals of Aether. And by the way, the pronunciation for that is indeed Aether. I looked into it. At any rate, this review will be on the current version of the game, which is Early Access version 0.0.4. What that means is that the game's official release isn't here yet, but the game is playable and anybody can play it. It's not exclusive like some alphas and betas. So anyway, just keep in mind that everything I say in my review is based on my opinion and my experience playing the game. So if you disagree with something, don't tell me that I'm an idiot and should go play in traffic. Feel free to comment and tell me what you disagree with and why. Anyway, the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to start with the elements I find most important in games and work my way down to what I find least important, and I'm going to be giving a score for each of those, and then at the very end I will be giving an overall score to the game based on what I think. So let's get right into it. First, I'd like to talk to you about the gameplay. As you no doubt have noticed, this game actually shares a lot of things with Super Smash Bros. So what are these similarities, you wonder? Well, it has to do with the basic premise of the game, which, unlike your traditional fighters, instead of inflicting damage to your opponent's health bar until it reaches 0 in order to win, you have to inflict damage with your attacks in the form of a percentage. And as it builds up, it acts as a knockback multiplier so that whenever you attack your opponents at a higher percentage, they will be launched farther, and your goal is to get them off the stage. And that's how you take their lives. When you take enough lives, you win the round. So, you may be wondering, is this just a cheap knockoff of Smash Brothers? And to that, I say absolutely not. Out of the Smash games, Rivals of Aether takes more from Melee than all the other titles. What does this mean? It means that the game is meant to be fast-paced and combo-driven, which basically leads to exciting, thrilling, fast-paced matches. So what about the elements unique to Rivals of Aether? Well, for starters, you don't have a shield. That's right, no shield, no block. The only thing you have in that regard is a parry, which if you time it just right as your opponent is attacking you, you negate their attack and they become vulnerable for a brief window. Also, if you parry projectiles, you send them back flying at your opponent. So it can be quite handy and it's a very good tool. However, it does require some pretty decent timing, and you can't really abuse it the way you can a shield sometimes in certain games, or a block for that matter. Another thing to note is that there are no grabs or throws in this game. Now that may seem weird, and you can take that however you want, but in my opinion it doesn't really affect the game. Normally in games, grabs are meant to bypass guards or shields, and since there is no shield or block in this game, you really don't have a need for grabs. It doesn't feel necessary, and whenever I'm playing I don't actually miss them at all. So, in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. Now, parries are not your only defensive option. You also have access to rolls or dodges, which they do give you less invincibility frames than you would get in Smash Bros, for example, but it is there as an option. You just have to be smart about it. You can't really abuse them. You also have air dodges, which in my opinion, this game actually got perfectly. In Melee, for example, you have one air dodge when you're in the air, and then after you use it, you're in free fall. You can't do anything, and you're probably gonna die if your opponent catches up to you. And then later on in Brawl and Smash 4, you have infinite air dodges. You can jump in the air, and I actually could be wrong, maybe it's like 3 or something, but you jump in the air, you air dodge again, and then again, and you can literally just sit there and air dodge, which to me is silly. This game actually reaches the perfect happy medium. You're up in the air, your opponent comes at you, you air dodge, avoid the attack, and now if you still have a jump, you can jump out, or you can attack, or you can do anything. The catch is, you only have one air dodge per air time. So if you use your air dodge, you better come to the ground first, because after that one you are not going to be air dodging again until you at least hit the ground. So you still have to be careful about it, but you're not going to be in free fall just because you're air dodged. So I think that's pretty great. Let's talk about the characters now. The early access version of the game features 6 playable characters, and the full version is supposed to have 8. Though I have no idea if they'll be adding more in the future as downloadable content or anything. Now you may be thinking, what a tiny roster, why would I want to play that? Well, every character has his or her own unique traits or abilities that make playing them completely different. It's not like a lot of fighting games where you're basically playing slightly modified carbon copies, or sometimes even they have clones. It's not like that at all. Every character is a unique experience and makes the game feel different. So I've never cared so little about roster size because I've never seen a game that does so well making characters so unique with such a limited number. So I think that's pretty great. The last thing I want to talk about regarding gameplay is controls. You can actually play with a controller of your choice, since you can actually set up multiple controllers on your PC, or by default you can play with a Microsoft controller such as an Xbox One, and you don't have to set that up or anything, you just plug in and play. Or you can even play with a keyboard. Now, by looking at the game and the fact that it takes the, old style graphics, I initially thought that the controls were going to be kind of, clunky, kind of like old games used to feel. And to my surprise, that was actually not the case at all. The game feels 100% fluid. Like, it never feels like my character isn't doing what I want my character to do. And it just feels right. It's smooth. It flows like water. I don't know how else to put it. I pretty much love the controls. And you can set the button mapping to whatever you want. You choose your controls if you don't like the default. So, anyway, as far as I'm concerned, gameplay gets a perfect 10. I love this game, I love playing it, I wish I had more time to play it. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, replay value. Now, I know a lot of reviewers put replay value near the end or at the end, but from my point of view, if I'm not going to want to keep coming back to the game and play it more, then who cares about the other stuff, right? So anyway, I actually don't have a lot of time to play. In fact, sometimes I have 10-hour school days, 12-hour school days, and some days I don't get to play video games at all. Well, let me put it this way. Since I got the early access for this game, going to school feels longer because I want to go home and play it, even though some days I don't even get to. So, to me, the replay value is great. I can get on, play however long I can, and I'll still want to come back and play more. So, now this could change, and maybe I won't feel that way in the long run, but as far as I'm concerned right now, if you start playing this, you're going to be hooked. So, I'm giving the replay value a 9, and the only reason I'm not giving it a perfect 10 is because since it does have a low number in the roster, and I don't know how much content there will be upon full release, though I know there is going to be a story mode and who knows what else. Right now, we don't know how much there is. All we know is you can do standard matches with 6 playable characters. So I gotta leave room for the fact that some people may not have enough content to work with. So I'm gonna go with a 9. Next, I want to talk about the sound. First off, I think the game effects are actually pretty good. By that I mean when characters attack and connect their attacks, or when they use their abilities, that kind of thing. I think the effects are actually pretty well made. They sound good, they fit the characters, they fit the type of attacks. It's pretty good in my opinion. Nothing terribly impressive, but not bad. And I kind of feel the same way about the music. It's not amazing. There's no track in the game that makes me go, wow, I love listening to this game. But then again, it's not bad. It's decent background music, and that's that. I actually think I'm gonna go with an 8 on sound. And you might be thinking, well, based on your description, you're not very impressed. Why are you giving it an 8 when it sounds like it might be more like a 7 or a 6? And actually, it's because a lot of games have at least one track that really annoys you. And I just don't have that with this game. I think the sound is overall good, just not anything impressive. So let's move on. The last category I want to talk about is visuals. Now, why am I not calling it graphics like most people do? Well, that's because they're clearly not going for the 21st century, top of the line, holy crap, this game looks more real than my face looks on the mirror kind of graphics. And I should probably take a breath after saying all that, but I'm completely serious here. I don't like when people judge games' visuals based on a single standard of does this reach the potential of current gen consoles or PC. You know, I think that you should base your judgments on what the style is going for. For instance, back in the day, as a comparison, when Zelda, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker were out, a lot of people would talk crap about Wind Waker because it has a different style when it wasn't trying to be realistic, and frankly it looks a million times better than Twilight Princess. Anyway, enough about Zelda references. In my opinion, the game looks great for the style it takes. The water looks pretty, like for example in that stage that you see right now. The background is pretty, there's like a little mountain with a path. The water looks nice, the visual effects are good. I don't know what else to say. I like how the game looks. It's nothing impressive, but based on the style they're going for, I think it's great. The character models are nice. The battle animations are great. Like, the attacks look unique. They look... I don't really know how to describe it, but the animations look a lot more active than a lot of games with this kind of graphic style took back in the Super Nintendo days or whatever. Clearly, the developers put the work into making the game look good. So, for visuals, I am going to be giving this a 9. Because again, even though I do think it's great, I'm not exactly, you know, swept off my feet by it. So, I think a 9 is a fair score for visuals. Alright, it is finally time for the overall score. So what I did here was I actually gave gameplay a higher weight than the other sections, and then I just took a simple average, factoring in that weight. And the score ended up being a 9.3. Now, that's just on paper. In my opinion, I probably like the game more around a 9.5. I honestly don't care about the graphic style. I don't care that there aren't any music tracks that make me want to go cry myself to sleep in happiness and bliss. I honestly just think this game is amazingly fun to play. Whether it's, well, pretty much just playing online is great. I don't even care that Early Access doesn't have a story. So, if you want my opinion and want to know whether I recommend this game and how much, if you haven't figured it out by now, in my opinion, I think you should hop on Steam right now, search up Rivals of Aether, pay the $15 for the early access, which means you won't have to actually buy the game when it officially releases, and it'll probably cost more than the $15 right now, and start playing the game. I can almost guarantee that you'll enjoy it. If you like Smash Bros, I pretty much guarantee you'll enjoy it. And if you don't, you can yell at me and cuss me out, and that's okay. And on top of that, if you do decide to try it out, and you want to play some matches with me or anything, shoot me a message, shoot me a comment, doesn't matter which, and tell me that you want to play. As long as whenever I can make the time, I will get on, I'll add you on Steam, I'll play some matches against you. I can and will even make a video out of it if you want. Doesn't matter if you destroy me or if you're a beginner and I happen to do better. I'll gladly do matches, do an analysis, or just have a fun commentary going on. It doesn't really matter. But at any rate, I hope that this review was helpful or informative or even just entertaining for somebody. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like or a comment, subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, please tell me what I can do to make it better. I am fairly new here and this is my first review, so anything I can do to do a better job in the future is good information to have. At any rate, thank you for watching, and please come back again. I will definitely be adding more Rivals of Aether content to my channel. By the way, this player destroys me in the end.